Hello everybody and welcome to our channel, Movie Vibes.
Today I am going to explain a drama, dark comedy film called Fight Club, directed by David Fincher. Spoilers follow. Watch out and take care. The narrator is tied to a chair and a gun is pointed in his mouth at the start of the film. The narrator then reveals that for mass destruction, bombs were planted in the theater's front row seats. Project Mayhem is the title of this operation. Cut to flashback, we see the narrator in a support group for men with testicular cancer, despite the fact that he is physically fit. The narrator has a bitch-tit friend named Bob. The narrator reveals that Bob has testicular cancer and that his testicles were removed 8 months ago due to his testosterone levels being too high. The narrator enjoys sleeping in his colossal, sweaty breast. Returning to the narrator's life, he claims that insomnia has kept him awake for the past 6 months. The narrator works as a recall specialist for the automotive industry at a major car company, where his boss irritates him greatly. The IKEA nesting instinct had enslaved the narrator, as it had everyone else. He has always desired a lovely condo with all of the amenities. The narrator seeks assistance from a doctor to cure his insomnia. The doctor, on the other hand, is unconcerned and refuses to prescribe sleep aids. He also informs the narrator that the guys in a support group experience real pain on Tuesdays. The narrator takes the doctor's advice and creates a false identity to join a support group. A one-on-one session occurs during the therapy. The narrator first meets Bob in this manner. Bob used to be a bodybuilding champion. Hugging him, the narrator weeps. He's now completely addicted to these support groups, and he joins them all the time under a false identity in order to fall asleep. Even though the narrator isn't dying of any diseases, he still joins because he enjoys it. One day, a woman named Marla Singer appears out of nowhere. The narrator assumes she is a tourist and does not have testicular cancer. He can't cry anymore because her lie reflects on his own, and he's back to being an insomniac. Because of Marla, the narrator is completely distracted. The narrator suddenly grabs Marla's hand and accuses her of lying. The narrator tells Marla that he'll tell everyone about her lie. She is unconcerned and tells the narrator that if he does, she will do the same. They then decide to divide the groups into smaller groups. They exchange phone numbers and part ways. One day, while on a flight, the narrator meets a man named Tyler Durden, a night person who works as a projectionist and occasionally as a banquet waiter. "What does Tyler do for a living?" asks the narrator. Tyler implies that he works for a soap company. They end up becoming good friends. The narrator's suitcase is held for a security check at the airport a few moments later. Tyler was seen driving away from the airport, stealing someone's car, by the narrator. After a while, the narrator returns to his own and discovers that his condo has been destroyed. The gas in the kitchen may have leaked, and the compressor in the refrigerator may have sparked, causing the condo to blow up, according to the cops. The narrator is now a homeless man. For company, he summons Tyler. Tyler and the narrator are drinking beers in a bar in the next scene. Tyler orders the narrator to punch him as hard as he can outside the bar, and the narrator does so. They start a fight just to feel the adrenaline rush. They both go to Tyler's place a short time later. Tyler claims he stayed there for about a year. They began fighting each other every day in front of the bar after that, which attracted others. Later on, a large number of people joined the fight. Everyone was squabbling with one another. Everything else in the narrator's life was turned down after the fight. He is able to cope with life once more, and he is now capable at work. Tyler and the narrator eventually become good friends. They call for Fight Club every Saturday night. This concept appeals to everyone. Lou's basement is taken over by a group of fighters. It's known as the Fight Club. Tyler delivers a speech to all fighters about Fight Club rules. The first rule of Fight Club is that you do not discuss about Fight Club. The second Fight Club rule is that you must not discuss Fight Club. Fight Club's third rule: when someone yells, "Stop," goes limp, and taps out, the fight is over. Total 11 rules were designed for Fight Club by Tyler and the narrator. In the club, the narrator and Tyler meet Ricky, a good fighter. The narrator gets a call from Marla one day. Marla inquires of the narrator as to why he does not appear in any support groups. He implies that he has discovered a new one that is exclusive to men. He then hangs up the phone. Later, the narrator dreams of him and Marla having sex, but it turns out that Tyler and Marla had sex the night before. The narrator then inquires as to why she is in his home. Marla storms away, enraged. Tyler accepts the narrator's promise not to tell Marla anything about what is going on. Tyler and Marla have intercourse every day, causing the narrator's life to be ruined once more. Moments later, we see the narrator in his office, smoking a cigarette, for which he is chastised by his boss. His boss suggests that he take the day off and return to work fresh the next day. He gets a call from a detective later, telling him that his condo was blown up by homemade dynamite. The narrator is taken aback but unconcerned. He's moved on with his life. Marla and the narrator fight once more, and Marla storms out of the house, enraged. Tyler's plans for tonight are questioned by the narrator. The narrator and Tyler go to a liposuction clinic later that night to steal the sucked-out fat from the trash. This fat is used to make soap. Tyler holds the narrator's hands and pours chemicals on them that night, saying that we wouldn't have anything if we didn't go through pain and sacrifice. Tyler is attempting to teach the narrator some lessons in this scene. Tyler then applies vinegar to his hand to relieve the pain. Tyler and the narrator sell the soap the next day. The narrator leaves a copy of the Fight Club rules in the copier at work. When his boss discovers it, he comes to question him. Tyler serves as inspiration for the narrator, who scares his boss away. While the narrator is talking with his boss, Marla calls to report a lump on her breast. Even though the narrator claims he has no idea what she is talking about, he continues to assist her. We see Bob a few moments later. "How are you doing?" the narrators inquire of Bob. "He is so much better now," Bob says. Bob also explains the Fight Club's first and second rules, stating that he is a member. The narrator claims to be a member of Fight Club as well. In Fight Club, we see Bob and the narrator fighting. Tyler confronts everyone in the club, accusing them of breaking the Fight Club's first and second rules. Tyler's speech is interrupted by the appearance of Lou, the basement's owner. Tyler suggests that Lou join his club instead of kicking everyone out of his basement. Lou barely lands a punch in Tyler's face. Tyler is beaten to death by Lou, but he continues to laugh. Tyler coerces Lou into giving the basement, and Lou eventually gives out of fear. Tyler assigns each of the Fight Club members a task in the basement. He challenges them to pick a fight with a complete stranger. A few moments later, the narrator threatens his boss, who then fires him. The narrator asks his boss to pay him even if he doesn't work, as well as to cover up the company's lies. Before the boss summons security, the narrator beats himself to a pulp and acts as if his boss has beaten him in front of security. His boss provides the narrator with a phone, computer, fax machine, 52 weekly paychecks, and 48 airline flight coupons. The narrator and Tyler begin expanding Fight Club in various locations with the money and flights. Tyler used to assign a new task to each member of the Fight Club. Tyler and the narrator, as well as the rest of the Fight Club, muck up everything in their city. All of the members of the Fight Club are working on their homework. Tyler walks into a store one day and holds the clerk at gunpoint in the back. When he was younger, he asked the clerk what he wanted to be when he grew up. "A veterinarian," says the clerk. He claims he stopped because it was too much school. Tyler threatens to kill the clerk if he doesn't continue his studies. Later, Marla and Tyler continues to sleep together again. Ricky shows up at Tyler's house one day and asks to join him in Fight Club. Tyler and the narrator refuse to test him, but he eventually passes. Bob eventually asks Tyler to join them on Project Mayhem, but he is turned down. Every day, a growing number of people join. Tyler amassed an army for his Project Mayhem. All of the Fight Club members were glued to their televisions, watching the nonsense they were doing. Police commissioner appears in TV and states that the department will find the people behind this mess. On the other hand, the narrator is furious with club members for all the things they have done. The group begins committing various acts of vandalism throughout the city. When the police commissioner intervenes, they seize him and threaten to cut off his balls, so he backs off. The narrator is not pleased with Tyler's actions. They go for a drive. Tyler is in the driver's seat, while the narrator appears to be in the passenger seat. 2 members of the team are also in the back seat. Tyler admits to detonating a bomb in the narrator's apartment. Then Tyler wantedly loses control of the vehicle just to prove that he is capable to do anything, and they collide, causing a car crash. This is what Tyler refers to as a near-life incident. At that point, Bob is brought in. He's no longer alive. When the police arrive and open fire, one of Project Mayhem's missions fails. They kill Bob by shooting him in the head. Tyler has made it clear that no one in Project Mayhem has a name. The team wishes to bury the deceased person. Bob's death makes the narrator sad. He makes an attempt to persuade the team that this is a real person. That person did have a name, but he is no longer alive. Tyler has been running a tight ship, and the team assumes Project Mayhem has instituted a new rule: everyone gets a name when they die. The narrator searches for Tyler. He follows his trail using the ticket stubs. I didn't know how or why, the narrator says, but I could look at 50 different bars and just know. I was living in a constant state of déjà vu everywhere I went. I felt like I'd been there before. The narrator quickly deduces what is going on. He calls Marla and asks if they've ever done something like this before. "UF*CK me, then snub me," she responds. "You either adore or despise me. You're sensitive at first, then you become a jerk." "Tyler, do you think that describes our relationship?" Marla says. Boom! Finally, the narrator realizes that he and Tyler are the same person. Because of his mental illness, the narrator has been imagining Tyler Durden all these days. Tyler is nothing more than a personality in the mind of the narrator. Suddenly, the Tyler personality appears in the room. The narrator recalls many of the things Tyler has done in the past, but this time in the first person. Instead of Tyler, he sees himself. Tyler then says that Marla knows too much and that she should be cared for. The narrator passes out. Tyler goes on to plan the destruction of a number of structures. Actually, it was the narrator who planted bombs in several buildings, but he has no recollection of doing so. The narrator notices Tyler has been busy when he wakes up. When he attempts to contact the building supervisor, he discovers that all of the supervisors are involved in Project Mayhem. When the narrator meets Marla, he informs her that she is now in danger as a result of his actions. He hands her some cash and asks her to leave. He then goes to the cops and confesses about his terror organization. However, 3 of the cops are also members of Project Mayhem, and Tyler has given them orders to cut off his balls if he does this. The cops apprehend the narrator, congratulate him on his bravery, and prepare to sever his balls. The 4th cop, who is not a member of Project Mayhem, interrupts them. The narrator grabs a weapon and flees the scene. He enters a basement and discovers an explosives-laden van. Tyler shows up. They talk about 10 bombs that will go off in different buildings. The structures are deserted. Tyler has prepared and completed all of this, but the narrator does not approve. Tyler tries to perplex the narrator, but the bomb is still defused. Tyler and the narrator are at odds once more. Tyler takes the narrator to the top of a building and overpowers him. This is the point at which the film begins. Tyler has found Marla and is bringing her up with help of Project Mayhem members. The narrator implores Tyler to come to a halt. The narrator calms down after a bit of arguing. He realizes Tyler isn't there. Tyler's gun is actually in his hand, he realizes. The gun is shown changing hands. "Tyler, I want you to really listen to me, okay?" the narrator says, pointing the gun at himself. "I have my eyes open." The narrator then pulls the trigger and fires a bullet through his cheek. However, He has deceived Tyler's personality into believing that the bullet was fired into the head. Tyler's head has a hole in it, and he falls to the ground and dies. This section shows the narrator completely defeating Tyler's personality. Tyler's face is dripping with blood. The team wants to assist him. He claims it appears to be worse than it is. Looking at his face, even Marla is taken aback. He claims he was the one who did it to himself. Tyler has taught him to put up with a lot of discomfort. They are standing there watching multiple buildings collapse and blow up. While the narrator was unable to halt Project Mayhem, he was successful in eliminating the Tyler personality. The narrator is about to embark on a new chapter in his life. It will be difficult to undo the damage Tyler has caused, but he is still employed by his company and will have to rebuild his life. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming movie recaps. Until then, good luck and stay safe.